So you found yourself head to head with a rhino and you're wondering, hey, should I mess with it or not? Well, let's think about it. So adult rhinos stand up to 6 feet tall at the shoulder, whereas the average Joe stands around 5.5 feet, barely enough to peek over cubicle walls. Rhinos weigh in at a whopping 2,300 to 5,100 pounds, roughly the mass of an SUV on a caffeine bender. You, on the other hand, tip the scales at about 150 to 200 pounds, more akin to a fully loaded grocery cart. Despite their bulk, rhinos can sprint up to 34 miles per hour, leaving you eating dust if you try to outrun one on a scooter. Your top speed is more like 15 miles per hour on a good day, and that's only downhill. Agility? Rhinos aren't winning any dance contests. They turn sluggishly, but once they're charging, their momentum is like dodging a runaway refrigerator. You, meanwhile, can pivot on a dime, but good luck dodging a horn the length of your arm. And speaking of horns, don't forget the pièce de résistance. A rhino's horn can reach 5 feet long, nature's built-in medieval mace, whereas our most threatening horn is a pointy credit card, barely enough to open a letter. Rhinos are solitary by nature, except for moms and babies, and they're fiercely territorial. Think of them as introverts with anger issues. Intrude on their patch, be it muddy wallows or grazing grounds, and they'll stomp, snort, and charge before you can say, bad idea. Watch for the classic warning signs, foot stomps, head shakes, and those signature snorting exhalations. If you spot them, congratulations, your life just got a little more interesting. After staking out their turf, these solo grazers need a snack. Rhinos roam the African savannas and Asian grasslands like food critics in a buffet, chomping through grasses, leaves, shoots, and the occasional fruit. Picture a dusty stadium dotted with snack bars, but instead of hot dogs and pretzels, it's all-you-can-eat salad, 100 pounds a day. Think of them as living lawnmowers, if lawnmowers had tusks and mental issues. When threatened, rhinos don't play nice. Their primary weapon is the charge attack, a full-bore sprint straight at perceived danger. It's basically like getting T-boned by a tank with legs. Their hide, 1.5 to 5 centimeters thick, acts as natural armor, and they can deliver a kick powerful enough to break bones. Seriously, don't test that. They'd win. They may have poor eyesight, about 2500 vision, but they're masters of hearing and smell, so stealth isn't exactly your best bet. The final verdict. Mess with rating, 0.15 out of 10. Only if you've already drafted your will and want to test the afterlife. Pro tip, back away slowly, avoid sudden moves, and consider sticking to less animated wildlife like parakeets. But if you had to fight it, if you've got a red cloak like a matador, perfect tango moves. So you sweep into the clearing, cloak swirling, and the rhino, blinded by its own confusion, halts mid-charge. You seize the moment, launching into a series of flawless flamenco footwork that leaves it utterly baffled. Next, you up the ante. You whip out a little portable speaker and blast some fiery Spanish guitar, demoralizing your gray-toned adversary into utter submission. The rhino, now convinced you're some kind of heavenly matador DJ hybrid, lowers its head in defeat. Seizing your chance, you vault onto its back, plant a triumphant flag, or a cheeky Olé pennant, and stick the landing like a champion gymnast. The crowd, or a confused troop of safari tourists, goes wild. So, should you mess with a rhino? Heck no, unless you're auditioning for instant reincarnation. So you've stumbled into the rainforest and come face to chest with a full-grown gorilla, and now you're asking yourself, should I mess with it or not? Well, before you test your jungle cred, let's break down exactly what you're up against. So an adult gorilla can stand up to 6 feet tall when upright, towering over your average office worker who maxes out around 5 feet 5 inches. These gentle giants pack on 300 to 485 pounds of pure power, about the weight of 2 office filing cabinets glued together, whereas you're more in the 150 to 200 pound range, closer to a well-stuffed backpack. Despite their bulk, gorillas can burst forward at 20 to 25 miles per hour in short sprints, which means your fastest jog is more like 10 to 15 miles per hour, and that's if you're sprinting for your life. Their arms span a massive 8 feet, turning any casual handshake into a potential across-the-room bear hug, and their grip strength can exceed 1,800 pounds. Try opening a peanut butter jar with that. Gorillas live in tight-knit family troops led by a dominant silverback. Think of him as the family man with a serious chip on his broad shoulders. By default, they're peaceful vegetarians. No bacon here. But threaten the troop or challenge that silverback's authority, and you'll get chest beaten into submission faster than you can say bad idea. Some signs that you are frustrating them are chest beating, ground slapping, and huffs and snarls. If you spot these behaviors, congratulations! Your jungle safari just turned into a front row seat at Gorilla WWE. These beasts call the dense tropical forests of Central Africa home. Gorillas chow down on leaves, stems, bamboo shoots, fruits, and occasionally ants. They're into exotic cuisine, consuming up to 40 pounds of vegetation daily. They even build a fresh leafy nest each night, because sleeping on yesterday's brunch is so passé. When it comes to confrontation, gorillas don't mess around. They bring the whole jungle to the party. A silverback can charge at speeds up to 20 miles per hour, hitting with the force and fury of a linebacker who just found out you insulted his mom. It's not just for show. If he's coming at you, it's not a bluff. It's a biological battering ram with muscles and purpose. But even if you think you're safe from a direct tackle, you're not off the hook. The infamous gorilla grab is no joke. These gentle-looking giants pack a grip strength of around 1,300 pounds per square inch, enough to casually snap bamboo like dry spaghetti. When a gorilla tells you to back off, you listen, or you might just become part of the underbrush. The final verdict. Mess with rating, 0.25 out of 10, only if you enjoy being an unwilling participant in a jungle WWE match. Pro tip, admire from a safe distance, maybe with binoculars. But if you had to fight it, naturally, you're not going in fists first. No, you're going to need a plan. The banana trap, it's genius. Step 1, set the bait. You lay down a trail of ripe bananas, leading the silverback away from his troop and into your trap zone. Preferably a pit or maybe a large net you borrowed from a fishing boat. The gorilla, curious and slightly amused by your audacity, starts following the banana trail. As soon as he steps into the trap zone, bam, you spring into action. But instead of using force, you go full culinary sabotage. You start chucking bananas at him like a deranged fruit vendor. Not just a few, dozens, hundreds. You're force-feeding this poor guy so many bananas he starts to rethink every decision that led to this moment. At first he's mildly annoyed, then curious, then too full to care. Eventually his abs of steel start turning into a soft banana-fed bloat. You've achieved the impossible. You've slowed down a silverback with a carbohydrate overload. He's now too stuffed to move, lounging like a post-buffet uncle on Thanksgiving. He's not defeated exactly, but he's certainly out of commission. So, should you mess with a gorilla? Absolutely not, unless you want to discover new definitions of terrifying and ouch.
So, you've tried the savannah and figured out it's basically a do not touch museum. Then, you trekked into the jungle, where everything either bites, stings, or politely devours you whole. So now you're wandering through the snowy taiga, bundled up in 12 layers and thinking, finally peace and quiet. And that's when you hear it. A low, distant howl. You turn, there's a flash of grey fur. Congratulations, you've just been noticed by a wolf. Standing around 2.6 feet at the shoulder and stretching up to 6 feet from snout to tail, wolves aren't giants, but they don't have to be. They weigh in at 8,120 pounds, pure, lean muscle, fur, and bitey vengeance. Speed? Wolves can hit 35-40 miles per hour at full sprint. You're topping out at 15 miles per hour before collapsing into the snow, gasping and rethinking your life choices. And then there's stamina. Wolves can chase prey for miles without tiring. Humans? We stop jogging when Spotify buffers. This isn't looking good. Oh, and let's not forget the bite force. Wolves pack 400, 1,200 psi, depending on species. That's enough to snap bones like pretzel sticks. You, meanwhile, can bite through a sandwich if it's not too toasted. Wolves are some of the most adaptable predators on Earth. You'll find them across North America, Europe and Asia, roaming forests, tundras, taigas, mountains, and sometimes even desert edges. Basically, if there's prey, space, and not too many people waving flashlights around, wolves are probably nearby. Wolves are pack animals, which basically means you never just meet a wolf. You meet one wolf while 5 of his buddies are circling you like it's a surprise intervention. They're smart, coordinated and terrifyingly quiet until they're not. And the alpha? He doesn't need to yell, he just stares, like a furry mob boss, while the rest of the crew closes in. Wolves communicate with tail flicks, ear twitches and strategic positioning that screams, "You're in the wrong forest, buddy." They're not naturally aggressive toward humans, but hey, let's not test their mood after a long winter and skipped lunch.
The final verdict.
Mess with rating. 1.3 out of 10. Only if your dream is to star in a snowy episode of Nature's Got No Chill. Wolves don't play fair. They bring the whole squad, use strategy, and have better cardio than you on your best day. Pro tip: admire them from a safe, frostbite-free distance, preferably while sipping cocoa behind double-pane glass. And for the love of all that's warm and fuzzy, don't try howling back. That's not a conversation you want to start. All right, so how could you, a fragile, 2-legged meat balloon with the survival instincts of a distracted tourist, possibly outsmart a pack of apex predators? Simple. You challenge the wolves to a sled race. The wolves, confused but intrigued, accept the challenge. After all, they're majestic, proud creatures with a flair for drama. The course? A winding, snow-covered gauntlet through the taiga, complete with low-hanging branches, suspicious snow mounds, and that one angry moose who doesn't like noise. You climb onto your contraption, give the signal, and the wolves take off like furry missiles. But here's the twist. You cheat. Because of course you do. Mid-race, you pull a cord and voila, a hidden turbo engine made from a salvaged snowmobile. You rocket forward like a caffeinated penguin on an ice luge, leaving the wolves howling in confused betrayal as you disappear over the horizon. You win. Technically, you survive. Barely. The forest is yours until the engine explodes and launches you headfirst into a snowbank. But hey, bragging rights are forever, and so is that wolf you accidentally adopted who now won't stop following you. You named him Carl. So should you mess with a wolf? Unless your resume includes snow ninja, forest engineer and bite-proof, probably not. But hey, at least now you know what you're up against. So you've battled gorillas, rhinos and wolves, and now you're thinking it's time for a break. You don't want to be on land anymore, it's just too dangerous. So you do the only logical thing, take your 40-metre yacht and sail far away from those crazy land animals, believing the open ocean will give you the peace and quiet you crave. You dive in for a refreshing swim, enjoying the silence until you see it. A massive shadow gliding beneath you, 5 times longer than your body. You look up and, out of the blue, a 50-foot humpback whale erupts from the depths. You pee yourself just a little, but no worries. Nobody's there to see it, except the baby humpback swimming right behind you. And, as little ones do, he squeaks the truth. And now you've got an angry mama humpback whale to worry about. But you, never one to back down, size the beast up. She's at least 50 feet long compared to your puny 6 feet. She's got a clear advantage. And don't even get started on weight. She tips the scales at around 40 tons, more than you, your car, and your condo combined. So you think, okay, she's bigger and heavier. Maybe I'm faster. Wrong. While an Olympic swimmer tops out at about 5 miles per hour in short bursts, and most of us can manage around 2 miles per hour, Mama Humpback cruises at roughly 15 miles per hour. And if she's angry, she can hit 20. And now you realise it. You are clearly outmatched. Humpback whales are known as the gentle giants of the sea, quite the opposite of your current experience. They spend most of their days lolling in polar feeding grounds before migrating thousands of miles to breed in tropical lagoons. They generally avoid humans to keep their pacifist badge intact, but get too close to mama or calf and you're in deep trouble. Unfortunately, you've just earned that distinction. Warning signs include a sudden dive, a flick of the tail, or that iconic head lunge, each one saying, "Back off, tiny land dweller." Their defensive mechanism include tail slap. A single strike can send shockwaves through the water, flipping small boats like pages in a book, and a pectoral flipper swipe. Each 15-foot flipper can create underwater walls of force. Think whale windmill. These ocean nomads roam from polar waters packed with krill and small fish to tropical breeding grounds. A single humpback can gulp down 1.5 and 2 tons of krill a day using bubble nets and lunge feeds. Imagine inhaling your weight in popcorn every few hours. They're filter feeders, open mouth, seawater in, fish and krill out. And now the final verdict. Mess with rating 0.2, only if you want to live the rest of your life like Pinocchio. So how could you possibly win? Easy. Challenge Mama Humpback to a singing face-off. You haul a waterproof speaker onto your deck, blast her own humpback serenades at half speed, and then hit it with your best off-key karaoke, complete with impromptu synchronized somersaults in the water. The whale pauses mid-breach, blowhole quivering, clearly baffled by your aquatic opera. She tries to reply with a majestic aria, but your tone-deaf warbles and ear-splitting high notes send at her retreating. You survive thanks to your amazing singing, but this was a close one. So, should you mess with a humpback? Absolutely not, unless you want to be whale chow or an accidental participant in its next music. So, you've just returned from your ocean adventure, still haunted by that slightly too close encounter with a humpback whale. This week, you've made a firm decision. No more danger, no more wild beasts, and no more questionable life choices. Just peace, quiet, and solid ground beneath your feet. But you're forgetting one important detail. You live in Australia, and when it comes to dangerous animals, this place is basically Mother Nature's boss level. Poisonous snakes, spiders, birds that dive bomb, and the most dangerous of them all, koalas. So, you grab a cold one from the fridge, crack it open and step into your backyard to finally relax. And there, waiting for you like you forgot to pay the rent, is a jacked male alpha kangaroo. Height-wise, adult male kangaroos can reach up to 6 feet tall. Finally, someone we can see eye to eye to. They clock in around 150, 200 pounds of lean, kicking muscle. That's your weight, minus the definition and tail. These hoppy tanks can bound along at up to 40 miles per hour, meaning that they would still smoke you in a race if you had your granddad's Vespa. Ever seen a kangaroo dodge and weave in a boxing match? They bounce around like furry UFC fighters with pogo sticks for legs. And let's not ignore their most iconic feature, their feet. 2 dinner plate-sized weapons capable of launching you into next Tuesday with one backward kick. Bonus, they have a gnarly claw on each foot. Nature's switchblade. Kangaroos are usually chill. They like grazing, hopping and looking majestic in golden hour lighting. But if you invade their space, get too close to a joey or simply look at them funny, they might just square up. Signs you're about to be in trouble include standing tall and flexing like it's posing for Instagram. Scratching their belly, yes, weirdly that's a threat move. Balancing on their tail, right before they double leg drop kick you into a new postal code. Kangaroos are found pretty much everywhere in Australia, woodlands, grasslands, even beaches if they feel like it. They love wide, open areas where they can hop around without a care in the world. And sometimes, your backyard becomes part of their territory, especially if you've got some decent shade and a patch of grass that's greener than your neighbours. And now the final verdict. Mess with rating 5 out of 10. Only if you've got a black belt, a tail and calves made of steel springs, otherwise admire them from afar, preferably through binoculars, and a kangaroo-proof fence. Alright, so how could you possibly make it out of this situation without getting drop-kicked into next week by a 6-foot kangaroo? Simple, you challenge it to a hopping contest. Armed with nothing but your questionable confidence and a pair of old hiking poles you found in the garage, you build yourself some makeshift spring stilts. They're wobbly, awkward, and probably a safety hazard. You step into your backyard-turned-gladiator arena, look that kangaroo dead in the eyes, and lay down the terms. One-on-one hopping showdown. Winner gets the yard. Loser walks away. You bounce once, twice. You're getting height. Not much, but enough to feel slightly proud. The kangaroo tilts its head, clearly confused, but also a little curious. Then it hops, and it's not even trying, but it still launches twice as high. You realizing that you cannot win this. Try the only logical solution. You try to cheat, because of course you do. You try to pull a rocket from your back pocket, but the kangaroo stops you. He grabs the rocket out of your hand, checks it out, and uses it to write, "You have 1 week." So you lost. You go inside, pack your PlayStation, pants, and all 3 shirts that you own, and go outside. You take a look at your ex-house and make yourself a promise. You will get it back. Full of will and determination, and still wiping tears from your face. You walk down the street, wondering where you are going to go now. Let this be a lesson. In Australia, the wildlife doesn't just visit, you're the guest. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed watching me get evicted by a jacked marsupial, hit that like button like a kangaroo hits leg day. Subscribe for more terrible ideas and questionable life choices involving wild animals. And remember, just because it hops doesn't mean it's friendly.